This documentary was 2 years in the making and a lot of research. I actually found out about Ira in 1999 at the Black Arts Film Festival. I bought some art and I asked the gentleman, who's this person on this picture? And he told me this is the first Black man to do Shakespeare's Othello. So I said, okay, didn't think too much of it. And then I went on about my business, and something that kept on drawing me to this artwork, to this piece. And I finally Googled, because I swore up and down that Ira was English. But when I Googled and he popped up in New York City, born in New York in 1807, I said, wow. So I said, let me, find out more information, in which I did. And I said, well, this is my next film. This is something I hope that I could get into the bigger festivals and get the national and the international attention that I've been craving for over 30 years of trying to get my foot in the door in this business. And we shot it, and I focused on our early life, childhood with his father, being raised in New York. Fortunate enough for him to go to the African Free School, because at the time when he was born, slavery was still going on in this country and even parts of New York. But fortunately for Ira, he was able to go to school, and Ira was highly educated. But Ira had a great passion and love for Shakespeare. And that's where he just went off. He loved Shakespeare. And Ira left the country when he was 17, never to return, and went on to find fame in Europe. But at the time he was over there in Europe, they was looking like, this is a Black man doing, Shakespeare and all the other plays from William Shakespeare. So I'm a big Othello fan. So that's the play I wanted to focus on. And I wanted to focus on the downfall of his relationship with Desdemona. And that was the handkerchief. And that's the reason why you see so much in the film of the handkerchief, and them going back and forth, what happened to the handkerchief, and him telling the story about his mother giving him the handkerchief, how it was made of Egyptian silk in this story, and it was magical, and things like that.
Mm. From the images that I was able to see in your documentary, that is so beautiful. For our listeners, just imagine this handkerchief, white, falling and floating, and beautiful music that you are also bringing. It's just like super soft and beautiful. What was happening in America while he was performing around in Europe?
Well, it was he wasn't Ira. People didn't like that Ira was, or the African theater was performing Shakespearean plays, and actually thugs used to show up to the theater and beat up some of the actors, and actually they burnt down the theater. And Ira knew that if he wanted to go further with his career, as a theater actor, he was going to have to leave the United States, and that's what he did when he was 17. And he went on and found fame, and he toured all over Europe, doing Shakespearean plays throughout Europe, and actually became one of the first Black theater managers over there in the United Kingdom. So what was going on over here? Black people were catching hell, excuse my language, when he left the country in 1825. So that's probably most likely one of the reasons why he never even returned, back to the U.S., just because of the slavery. And of course, not like slavery was not going on in England. But Ira had a very fortunate life, and he was very blessed. Just the fact is, he was just highly educated and doing multiple Shakespearean plays throughout the day. And I encourage people to seek this film out. Like I said, I didn't make it for the film festivals. I made it, for the big production companies or a producer or agent. And so far, that has not happened for some strange reason. I don't know why. I don't think people are actually watching the film, because I didn't done a lot of films. And if people look at my website, they can see the list of films I have done since 1989. I put this at the top of my body of work that I have done. It's a costume piece. I shot with 3 cameras. First time I ever did that, 4K. Shot in a theater. I mean, it has everything going for it, and it's an educational piece, just like the March on Washington D.C. 1963. I think people could learn a lot from it, and come away with a good understanding about Ira and Othello.
I think that what we needs to happen is that um, here CU Boulder has the Shakespeare Festival. I
Yes.
think that it will be so fantastic if they are able to have the opportunity to be exposed to this documentary. I learned so much, especially as English is my second language, and yes, I had to take Shakespeare classes, and it was so difficult for me.
I
I
bet you
can
was good.
I can share with you that what I thought always was, this is like Cervantes. For in
Mhm.
Spanish language, as you know, Cervantes is the highest level, and it is another language, really, even though is Spanish, and we're talking about Don Quixote de la Mancha,
Right.
no, the classic. It's another language, and the same happens with Shakespeare. So when you are when you are highlighting the experience of this young person, only 17 years old, and he decides at that time, when America was experiencing slavery, to leave the country, go to England, and perform Othello, the character that is so strong. It's incredible. It's super unique. So I think that you have picked that story, but it has not been, this year has been different. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, well, no, I remember we talked Friday, and I remember you saying that about the pandemic. But when I read about Steven Soderbergh and other film directors, where he made 3 films during the pandemic, I'm not gonna let that excuse go, because actors in Hollywood, they worked steady during the pandemic. They found out what they needed to do. They needed to stay separated, and how they needed to do the meals. But there's some directors who were constantly working. And I don't see why I shouldn't be any difference. I didn't pay my dues. If people take the time, and the people who truly love cinema and look at my work, they will see that I truly know what I'm doing. I love cinema, and the body of work is there, from the suspense thrillers, the documentaries, to the new piece on Ira. And all my films are different. I'm not copycatting anybody, the Hollywood type. I have my own body of work is different. And I think I deserved opportunity. I mean, and I'm glad that I have a good relationship with KGNU to call you guys, because I'm at the point of giving up, because I'm getting older, and it was heartbreaking that this film is not doing what it should be doing for the actors, the cast, and myself. And I don't know what's going on. I didn't make it for the film festivals. I did submit it to 2 big film festivals, and nothing, because that helps when you get it in the bigger ones instead of these smaller ones, because you got bigger people that are going to be there to be able to help you, take you to the next level. And so something is going on, and it's really breaking my heart. And I'm glad I'm having this opportunity with you this morning to explain about the film, my passion, the creativity, and just the years that I have dedicated to the arts, to cinema.
Cinema for you, and filmmaking is an art, and it
Yes.
does not come easy. This takes a lot of time. How long it took you to produce this beautiful piece?
Well, it took 2 years, but I don't know who made the rules. It said that one has to suffer for a number of years in order to get their foot, or be able to start doing things in arts. That's from artists, musicians. I believe you have family members that are musicians, and they having a difficult time. Who made them rules and said that you had to suffer? I started directing in 1989. It's 2001. And yeah, and I have been fortunate to travel and see the world. Art cinema has let me see places that I never would have got to see with my eyes. And I have friends from all over the world. Matter of fact, I got invited to a film festival in Sweden. And when I got the invitation, they said Gothenburg. And I said, oh, wow, I finally get to go to Germany. And when I Googled Gothenburg, Gothenburg is in Scandinavia, Sweden. So I was sharing rooms with Kurds, and only thing I know about the Kurds is about the Gulf War. But I had some English Kurds came over, and I was sharing rooms with them, and we're still friends to this very day. I just talked to one the other day about the European Cup, football championship. You know, he was a big Italy, even though he lived in England, he loves Italy. So, I mean, filmmaking has gave me an opportunity to meet people from Lebanon, Palestine, and, you know, all over the world, you know, filmmakers and stuff. But it also been that part, am I ever going to make a living in this business? And the way this things that happen with this film, most likely not. I don't, you know, because like I said, I keep on emphasizing people are not giving this film the respect and the benefit of the doubt, you know, so it really breaks my heart. So, but I think I answered your question. It took 2 years to make this film. And a lot of research, and I love researching, especially, you know, the Black history, finding out about these things from all the films I did on the Black American West Museum, the founder, Paul Stewart, which that museum is in the first Black woman doctor's house here in Denver, to the UMan Experience bookstore, which is closed, which I think they understand they're supposed to be reopening, to my documentary I did on the Black doctors, on the early Black physicians, when doctors used to make house calls. It was nothing for a doctor to come to your house back then. That film was in the Denver National Film Festival, making me the first African-American born and raised in the city of Denver to have a film at the Denver National Film Festival. So happened that year I got to go to Europe. I went to Belgium. I got invited to Belgium to show that film and my other 2 documentaries. So that was a wonderful trip, going to Brussels.
You are listening to Storytellers of Color. This is as part of a public affair, and we are talking with Davon Johnson. And he's talking about this new documentary, Ira Frederick Aldridge is Othello. And we're talking about how difficult this time it has been for him to expose his art. And I have to say for the listeners that if you go and check this out, you're going to be so impressed because like I was explaining and, you know, saying to Davon the other day, it was so beautiful to see the masterpiece and the puzzle pieces that you put together, because you have history and then you have the theater at the same time, and scenes and voices, and also pieces in writing that really explain the whole situation that Ira was going through. And you know, one of the things that it's really that ties to what you are saying right now, how difficult it is for people of color to bring stories and to, you know, keep the door open. It's almost like you have done so much work, you have been recognized, and now when you have done this incredible film, the door is not opening. And what I'm thinking is, Ira went to, you know, he mastered the English language. And then
Yes.
he even excelled. And he had to deal with racism. He had to deal with people's jealousy, that they didn't want him to be all he could be, because he was occupying a place that was not meant to be for him. And that's what came to my mind after seeing your documentary, that,
Yeah.
you know, there's a parallel story here.
Yeah, that is true. He had to deal with a great deal of racism, and but at the time when he was performing theater in jolly old England, everybody went to the theater. But eventually learned to love Ira, and you know, and he gained acceptance, and the thing about my work, the people who used to really follow me and was my supporters, they long gone and, you know, dead. You know, it's because I've been in the business so long, and some of these people were a lot older. I don't know what's going on. And like I said, I don't really bother with a lot of the bigger film festivals here, because basically, you know, why should I pay you $50 to show my film and you may not accept it? Then I'm out of money and I look like a fool. So I've been in the game long enough to know not to pay these high entry fees. I did do it with the Telluride out 60 something bucks, but like, you know, whatever, you know, the festival, as far as I'm concerned, should have been canceled during the pandemic. But really, really what broke my heart is the Tribeca had a virtual film festival. It was $20, so I'm not going to worry about $20. But I said the film is good enough that should have been able to make the virtual film festival, because they was emphasizing Juneteenth. Juneteenth was about the slavery and the slaves in Texas didn't know they was free for 2 years. And here's a man that was born at the age of slavery and was able to go to school and get education, that they would give the film the benefit of the doubt, and it didn't get in. So that just like, enough already. I can't keep on doing this. And I don't, I'll pray on it, and I don't know what other steps would happen. It's usually sometime God always work these things out when I'm least expected. There's an email, there's a phone call, that's very surprising, and it's very welcoming, that something to be able to help the career. But like I said, I made this film for a bigger audience or international audience, not the regional Denver, Colorado audience. I made it for the national and international audience, and I'm having a hard time getting it to them. So I don't know what to do, but I just appreciate this time to be able to come on here and, give my piece about this film. It's a wonderful piece, and everybody loves Shakespeare, and they should really, search it out. I believe you're going to put my website on the Facebook page, and they can see the trailers of all the work I have done. And it's difficult to get your film in film festivals. I want people to understand that, let alone winning awards. And I have done that. So that's the reason I talk about, the benefit of doubt. Give me the benefit of doubt, and, look at my work, take the time, because people should have a lot more time on their hands now,
You're completely right. And I would like to ask you, why is this film important for a wider audience to know about? Who is really this character that we need to know more about him today more than ever?
Well, Ira was the first. His daughter actually got Paul Robeson ready for the stage, believe it or not. And if people know who Paul Robeson was a man's man. I mean, Paul Robeson was so gifted in athletic, opera, singing, acting. So Ira's daughter got him ready for the stage. Ira was the first, and he should be. A lot of people don't even know about Ira, but just with his nature, his intelligence, people should know about, the educational factor, that he, didn't take education for a joke. When he got a chance to go to the African free school, he took every advantage of it, not just learning about Shakespeare, but he learned about astronomy, math, and other subjects. And then just for him just to not take no for answers, sort of like myself in my career, not no, I'll find another way to do this. That was Ira. And then you got the factor of William Shakespeare, before Ira came and played Othello at the age of 17 in 1825 in England, you had white actors playing Othello. Othello was a Black character, so it's an enjoyable piece, and people like to be enjoyed and entertained. So this new piece on Ira Aldridge, Ira Frederick Aldridge is Othello, is a piece I think people should see.
How can people find this film? Where is it?
Well, right now they can see the trailer on my website, and that's on YouTube, and that's not a problem. And I don't know if I will submit it to the Denver National Film Festival. I think the voter has passed, but just really tired of the festival thing, because really you're not getting anything out of it. I've been to film festivals, and they claim that these agents and producers would be there and all this, and there's nobody there except a whole bunch of wannabe Steven Spielberg young filmmakers who've done one film, and now they want to make a big feature film. So I didn't been there and done that. So I may have a public screening, and let KGNU know, and invite the public out to see the film, and then they could tell me face to face if they think if the film is good or not.
Let me tell you, it is beautiful.
Thank you.
I can tell you from experience. I would like to, since we're having this conversation of how difficult it is for artists, for producers, for media producers. Now I'm seeing you in this, via Zoom, this world of Zoom now. And people are taking for granted what it is, film production. It's not easy. It requires a lot of work. You are a writer of this, you're a producer, director, and you have invested your whole life, and you have people can go and see in your website the number of awards and all the films that you have done. But I want to ask you, what about unions? You know, me as coming from another country, I'm always thinking, where is the support for artists here? What has happened that there is no support for minorities, especially in art?
It's none at all. It's basically zero. They got the Denver Film Commission here, and that's really a joke. I didn't send them plenty of advertisements of screenings I was doing free screenings at that, and they won't even post them. It's really a joke. And actually, the Denver Actual Film Festival, they selected us a gentleman who's the new festival director, and he has no interest in filming whatsoever. I think one of his favorite films is some old production from Disney. It's really a joke. And then the union thing, in order to get into the producers or directors guild, you got to be able to get a director's credit that's going to be able to get you into the guild. You know, you just can't walk in there and say, I want to be in the directors guild and stuff, you know, and that costs. So you really got to know somebody, and it's hard to get to know these people, be able to get you to that next level. And that's the reason I was trying to get Ira in some of these bigger festivals, where they'll be able to introduce me to the agents, producers, and some of the big high-end production companies who are doing these big budget, well, I didn't say big budget, but films that you see in the theaters and, you know, Netflix. But I prefer cinema. I prefer the theater instead of streaming services, to be honest.
We have been saturated, you know, during this time with a lot of films. People have been stuck in the house watching this, and you know, like you have mentioned right now, the big places, the big corporate media is taking over and is really not allowing people to see beyond what they say is good or put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you are feeling, you're experiencing right now?
Yeah, it's very controlled. It's not what you know, it's who you know, and who you rubbing elbows with. In the, you know, I look back now after all this experience with the Ira production, I wish I would have studied harder in school and stayed with them computers, because I remember my last year in high school in '83, they introduced them Apple's computers, and I was learning how to write the programs, and I wish I would have stayed at that and never came nowhere around the entertainment business and stuff, because it's heartbreaking. It's very disappointing. You can be very sad at times when you know, with your projects and not getting the recognition, you know, for your work. And that's the reason I got into contact with you guys. I said, let me see what, you know, happened. I know the community in Boulder, they love the arts, and I think the community in Boulder would love this new production on Ira Aldridge.
I am pretty sure that after people listening to this, you know, chat with me today, people will be, you know, going into their computers and checking it out in Vimeo, where you have your video, and we will post this
Okay,
so that
thank
people
you.
can really check it out. I'm really pleased with you. I just want to thank you, Davon Johnson, for joining us for our Storytellers of Color this morning. And, you know, it is a collaborative series with an open invitation to other storytellers to come into our airwaves, to tell their stories and to occupy the safe space that we are providing. I hope you will join us every second Monday of the month. And just like it has been an honor for me to have you this morning, I want to send you with all the good energy, with all the blessings, and I'm pretty sure people will watch your video. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. Take care.